Welcome to the guided notes on the muscular system. Today we'll be completing the guided notes titled The Muscular System. If you don't have it out already, take this time to pause the video and get it out. We'll start with the function of the muscular system. This system is one of the simplest systems when it comes to function. The entire muscular system moves things. Either it is moving the body of the organism by pulling on the bones, or moving materials through the organism, such as blood through blood vessels, or food through the digestive system. Muscles work by contracting or shortening the specialized fibers in the muscle cells. This process takes a lot of energy, which is why muscle cells have one of the highest concentrations of mitochondria of all the eukaryotic cells. When muscle tissue is not contracting, it relaxes. It doesn't push or pull in the opposite direction. That muscle just stops shortening. This is why it is important for skeletal muscles, the muscles attached to your bones, to work in groups of at least 2. So there is another muscle to pull the bone back down. The easiest way to see this is with the muscles involved in a hinge joint. The greater range of motion, the more muscles involved. With a hinge joint, it can only move forward and backward, so only 2 muscles are needed. For example, the elbow. When the bicep shortens, contracts, the forearm comes up. During the contraction of the bicep, the muscle behind the humerus, the tricep, relaxes. When you're ready to put your arm back down, the tricep contracts, gets shorter, and the forearm relaxes, the bicep relaxes, and the forearm comes back down. Here's another diagram to help illustrate this point. When the bicep contracts, the tricep relaxes, and the forearm comes up. When the tricep contracts, the bicep relaxes, and the forearm goes down. All right, so now that you know how muscle tissues work, let's discuss the 3 types of muscle tissue. First, striated or skeletal muscle. The name striated comes from the striations or stripes that are visible under a microscope and are created from the fibrils, F-I-B-R-I-L-S. These are the contract parts in the cells lining up, and they line up in clear rows in striated muscle. Skeletal muscle, striated muscle, is the strongest type of muscle because of how the fibrils line up. But it is also the fastest to tire because it uses up energy so fast. These are the muscles attached to your bones and are responsible for moving your body. This is also the only muscle type that is completely voluntary. You have conscious control over most of these muscles. That is, you control these muscles by choosing to make them move. Cardiac muscle is partially striated, in that sections of muscle fibrils, the contracty parts of the cells, line up, but not through the entire tissue, as you can see in the diagram. Some sections line up and others don't. This gives cardiac muscle tissue the best of both worlds: strong, though not as strong as skeletal muscle, and never tires. This type of muscle tissue is only found in the heart and is responsible for the initial surge of blood throughout the body. Thank goodness, this type of muscle tissue is involuntary. You don't have to think about making your heart beat to make it beat. It just keeps on doing it. Now, the signal to beat is still coming from your brain, just not part of your brain you really have any conscious control over. Smooth muscle is usually found as a layer of other organs, such as certain blood vessels, the esophagus, stomach, and intestines. Smooth muscle cells' fibrils don't line up with other fibrils. They stay just within the cell. So their range of contraction is very limited. They don't exert much force, they're fairly weak, but then they never tire. It's a good thing these muscles are involuntary too. I don't want to have to think about churning my stomach to break down my lunch. I'm glad it does it on its own, of course, with the direction on when to do it from the brain, just not the conscious brain. This concludes the guided notes on the muscular system. We'll see you in class. Check the links on Edmodo for a bonus video about how muscles grow.